Okay, just to correct one thing from yesterday.
Oh.
So we're in the middle of trying to figure out Rabbi Akiva. It's not like our Mishnah because he holds that the order is going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And our Mishnah held that really it's 1 and 3 as a group and 4 and 2 as a group. So Rabbi Akiva is not like our Mishnah. Then we try to figure out where did Rabbi Akiva say this. So the first thing we met was Rabbi Shua's son kept asking him why the Mishnah there in Negayim spells everything out. And the Gemara concluded the fact that he asked him that it should have spelled out the lowest shade of white and just everything above it, just say the membrane of the egg, and whatever is lighter than it would be tzaras. So that was a conclusive proof that Rabbi Akiva holds of this order 1, 2, 3, 4. So the question was, how do you see from the fact that he offered that suggestion that you see that Rabbi Akiva holds 1, 2, 3, 4? So Rashi, he explains that basically, if you wanted to say like the Mishnah, so you should have said, well, the egg membrane and the one above it, and the lime, the lime plaster, and the one above it. If you'd have taught it like that, you would have known that each primary category has a derivative. The fact that you said anything above the lowest shade of white is going to be impure, and they're going to combine together. So now you leave it up to logic to figure out exactly the order. And Rashi explains the logic would be Beharis, the Gemara is going to tell us in a few minutes, it's the brightest shade. Se'es, number 2, is also high up, similar to Beharis, and the Torah adds in that extra word to teach you that Se'es, which is the shade of white that's like wool, has derivatives. And the lowest one, he said, is the membrane. So if you put that together, you would have understood the order would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So the fact that Rabbi Akiva suggested that to him, that showed you that he understood that his father held that the order of the leprosy is 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes in that order. Fine. So then we
finally learned.
That's right. So then we mentioned that So fine. Then we rejected that because we said maybe when the author was saying this over of what Rabbi Yeshua told Rabbi Akiva, so he wasn't listing everything he told him. So meaning the Mishnah is not a peddler; it doesn't list everything. So the Bryce is not a peddler; it's going to list you everything. Maybe really Rabbi Yeshua did suggest that to Rabbi Akiva. The author of the Bryce didn't want to mention it. Fine. Then we went and we said, well, look, we have another proof. Rabbi Chanina told us that the parable for Rabbi Akiva is if you have milk with 2 drops of blood, 2 drops, 4 drops, right, 8 drops, and then either 12 or 16 drops. So you see that obviously one is more white than the other. So now, so Rabbi Akiva holds that it goes in that kind of order. That the one that's most white is number 1, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Now that's where we are now. So we're going to now argue on this premise, this idea that Rabbi Akiva holds that when there's a little bit of redness in the white, meaning the Mishnah Negayim starts off telling you there's 4 shades of white, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they combine together in some which way or form. The primary category and the derivative combine to equal the measurement that would make you impure. Fine. The next Mishnah starts telling you, what about whites that have a shade of red in it, right? And there we have Rabbi Akiva say something, and we're going to prove to you that what he holds by even when it's mixed together with red, it still doesn't go in that order. Meaning you wanted to say that Rabbi Akiva holds that when there's red and milk, red and white mixed together, it's going to impurify you in a certain order. I'm going to show you that that premise is not true. If that premise isn't true, then for sure your application of the premise that if red and white is in ascending order or descending order, then even by white it's going to be in the same order. I'll prove to you that that first thing you said is not true. By redness, by white, with a little bit of redness, Rabbi Akiva argues. Okay, so let's go from the bottom, 5 lines from the bottom. So, Amar Deshamas Rabbi Akiva b'pasuk b'chalak mishamas. So the Gemara first asks, even if your parable is good, but that's only by a mixture of white and red, who said he holds of that order when it comes to just white negayim, just white shades with no red mixed inside? Now the Gemara says, Hachi shamas lebechaluk. So maybe you'll say that it should be the same thing. That just like you're trying to prove to me that there's an order, a clear 1, 2, 3, 4 order by white that has some red mixed into it. There'll be the same 1, 2, 3, 4 order by regular white with no red mixed into it. So on that premise, upasa gufe mishamislei. Back up. Who told you that by red, Rabbi Akiva, by white, tsaras, leprosy, has a little bit of red inside? Rabbi Akiva holds of this order. I'll prove to you it's not true. V'hatanya, really v'hatanan, it's a Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Adam dem shebezeh v'shebezeh ki yayin amazik b'mayim. Adam dem, like Adom, red. That's in this and in that one, in the two categories that are mentioned in the Mishnah. They're like it's like wine that hamazik b'mayim, that's diluted with water. Ella shel baheres, if you have the baheres, which is the number one, the whitest, mixed with a little bit of red, so that's azak kisheleg. That is going to be like snow. That's the whitest. But then he says the shel sid dihimenu. But then the lime is a little bit less bright than it. Now in Rabbi Akiva's world, sid is number 3, not number 2. Baheres is always number 1. We're going to see in a second. Baheres is always number 1. It's the whitest of the tzaras, called Baheres. But Rabbi Akiva's world, the next one is se'es, then it's se'es, then it's the plaster, and then it's the membrane. So you're telling me that when you have a little bit of red mixed in, there's a parable that it's like 2 drops of red mixed with 2 drops of blood mixed with milk. Well, Rabbi Akiva says Baheres is number 1. That's going to be like the 2 drops of blood mixed with milk. It's the brightest. And then you have sid, you jump to 3. 3 is a little less than 1. So turning the page, the Gemara says in Isa, if you're right, you Rabbi Chanina with your parable is right, the thing that should be under Baheres should be Shel Tzemer Di'ayimenu Mibayile. So it should really be of wool. It should be Baheres is the whitest. Then Se'ez, which is wool, is the one under it. Mibayile. So that would be a problem. Your whole parable, the premise of your parable is totally off. Amri Enachanami. You said, okay, let's go with that. Maybe really wool is under Baheres. V'hatanya, and I'll show you there's a bright Rabbi Nassan Omer, lo sham Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Nassan says, it's not that Rabbi Akiva said, shel sid dihayimenu, ela shel tzemer dihayimenu. So we have this other statement of Rabbi Nassan clarifying Rabbi Akiva, so that really it is the wool is going to be second to Baheres, and therefore it's not going to be a question. It's funny, it's a Bryce against the Mishnah. The Mishnah sounds like Rabbi Akiva says that that lime is under it. So either he had a different version of the Mishnah, or he had a Bryce that contradicts it. But at least, it sounds like we would amend the Mishnah, and this would be a more authoritative view of the Mishnah. Okay, fine. So that's that. So really, we did uphold the parable of the blood and the milk because we had another Bryce that showed us explicitly where Rabbi Akiva holds, and you have to figure out the semantics in that Mishnah that seems to say not that way. Fine. Now, uminolon de Baheres azahi. How do you know that Baheres is like, also means like strong, but here it means like it's the whitest. It's the whitest, like snow. That Baheres is the whitest out of all the shades of white. Amar Abaye, Amar Kra, v'im Baheres levana he, and if Baheres is white, he levana ve'inacheres levana. Only it's considered like the real white. There's no other white after it. Everything else can be already a shade of white, but this is the white in its purest form. So that's only going to be Baheres. So the Torah uses the word white in reference to Baheres to teach you that's like the white. Everything else is already going to be a shade of it. Okay. Tana Rabbanan, Baheres Amuka. Baheres is very deep. What does deep mean? V'cheinu Omer. It sounds like on your skin it's deep. Omer, this verse, this is basically Rashi and Chumash. Maybe you'll explain it to me. I don't know. Umar amak mina or. It says that it looks deeper than the skin, the shade of the tzaras. When you have it on your skin, it looks like it's deeper in the skin. Kimarachama amuka minatzel. It's probably obvious. I don't know, but when you stand outside and there's sun and there's shade, the appearance looks like it is deeper than where the shade is. So when you go out, I guess I don't have to pay attention more, but so when you look at the two, I guess one looks like it's much. It appears to be deeper than the shade. So too the tzaras appears to be deeper than so too Yeah, the Baharis, which on your skin, it's deeper. It has that appearance that is deeper than your skin also. Okay. That's Baharis. Number 2, Se'es. So number 2 for Rabbi Akiva, and number 4 for the Chachamim. But the next primary category is Se'es. So what does the word Se'es mean? Ein Se'es ela gavoa. It means high up. So when you have Baharis, so the next one is Se'es. It's also high up. How do I know that Se'es means high up? V'cheinu omer al kol harim haramim, on all the mountains and on all the hills. V'al kol gavos hanasuos, on all the valleys that are high up. So you see the word Se'es means high up. Okay. We had Sapachas was that word that taught us that Se'es has derivatives. Well, what does the word Sapachas means? So Ein Sapachas ela tfela. Sapachas just means secondary, which is attached to you. It's a derivative of you. It's a secondary to you. Where do I find the word Sapachas? It means secondary. So Eli's sons did not behave, Chafni and Pinchas did not behave properly, and that they were Kohanim, and they're going to get punished. So at the end there, it has this pasuk that says they're going to be wanting food. They're going to be asking for food because they're Kohanim. It says, they're going to come. They're going to say, "V'amar savcheni na attach us to one of the priestly hoods." I mean, they're going to lose their priestly privileges, and they're going to come and they say, "Please attach us, to one of another one." Right. Because we used to be, but we're not anymore. We got punished. So the word safachas is to attach me to something else. So that's how we learned that there's other derivatives attached to, so to speak, se'es. Okay. So now, forget Rabbi Akiva for a second. Back to the Chachamim. The Chachamim held there's 2 primary categories and there's 2 derivatives. There is 1 and 3. Baharis is one that's like snow, and 3 is like the plaster of the Heichal on the base of the Mikdash. They used to redo it every year. And then you have 4 and 2. You have Se'es, which is 4, and then you have it's like the egg, and then you have the Tzemer Lavan, the wool. The wool is under it. Okay. So how do you know Eshchan Tefel Se'es? According to the Chachamim, it's very good. We found that the Se'es has a derivative. It says the word Sapachas. So Eshchan Tefel Se'es, Tefel Beharis Minolam. But your other primary category of Beharis, how do you know that has a derivative? Where'd you get that from? Rabbi Zera, Namra, it says Namra, the verse says, Se'es Levana Ba'or. It says, so it says Levana B'Se'es, V'Namra Levana B'Baharis. White is mentioned by Se'es, white is mentioned by Baharis. Ma Levana Amura B'Se'es, Yesh L'Tfela, Levana Amura B'Baharis, Yesh L'Tfela. So we're comparing the 2, just like it says the word white by Se'es. And Se'es has a derivative, because there it says it explicitly, Sapachas. So too, we're learning out, a Baharis also has a secondary category. Okay. Another place you're going to find that we can learn out that a Baharis has a derivative. The Masnisa Tana, we learned in a Brisa, Hitilakot L'Sapachas. The Torah placed the word Sapachas between where? Se'es LeBaharis. Between Se'es, one tzaras, and Baharis, another tzaras. Why did it place it in between like that? To teach you, Lomer Lach, just like Se'es is going to have a derivative, so too, Baharis will also have a derivative, a secondary category. So 2 ways you can learn out that Baharis has a secondary category. Okay. Se'es Ketzemer Lavan. Se'es is like wool. So I think that's 2 opinions. Okay, I guess our Mishnah. Se'es is like Tzemer Lavan. Se'es is like that's funny. Yeah, in my chart that's interesting. Right? It's because interesting. In Negayim, there's 2 opinions. Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim. The Chachamim say that Se'es is like white wool. It's number 2. Rabbi Meir says Se'es is really number 4. Okay, but we're going that Se'es is number 2. It's the white wool. Number 4 would be the egg membrane. Okay. My Tzemer Lavan. What's Tzemer Lavan? What's white wool? Like what you colored, you dyed it, you painted the sheep. What does it mean? Amarav Bibi, Amarav, it's specific. Tzemer Naki Ben Yomo, that first day the sheep is born, it has very clean, very white wool. You sort of wrap it up in a blanket, lamilas. you wrap it up to protect it from getting sullied from that. So it's a very pure white wool. So that's the seis, that kind of white. So now this is I didn't see them talk about this, but we're going to give like a whole number of parables now. These four categories, two primary and two derivatives. We're going to bring parables and ask on the parable, and then give another parable, and then ask on it, and then give another parable. I don't know. So yeah, interesting to me. So Rabbi Chanina, mashal derabanan lamad davromer. I'll give you an example, a parable for the Rabbanon, these four categories, 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. So what's the parable? So it's like fine, like he said a parable and like he messed with the parable. You can't give a bad mashal, that ruins the whole mashal. That's a bad mashal. So Rabbi Chanina, mashal derabanan lamad davromer. For what's it similar to? Litrei malki ulitrei ifrachi. So it's two kings and two governors. Yeah, so two high-ranking officers. Malko shel zeh lamala mi malko shel zeh. So when you have two kings, each king is above his officer, his generals, his governors. So trei malki. Okay, trei, right? Two kings and two governors. Fine. Each king is above his governor, and this king is above his governor.
So the king of the one government is more prominent than the king of the other.
Oh yeah, that's what I had to ask, right? Because Trey Malko Malko shel zeh. Sorry, yeah, good. Malko shel zeh. One king is greater than the other king. L'malami Malko shel zeh. Good. So one king is higher up than another king. The ifracho shel zeh l'mala mi ifracho shel zeh. And that king's governor, the one that's higher up, so his governor is higher up than the other king's governor. Okay. So to our categories of tzaras. Now, says the Gemara, if that's going to be true, so that means that the first two, right, are going to be higher up. So what should come out is 1 and 2 shades of tzaras. 1 is going to be higher than the other category. 2 is its derivative, will be higher than the other category. But that's not true. Our 4 categories are 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. So that's not going to work. So Ella, you're right. Let's redo the parable. It's just interesting to me. Yeah, Malko shel zeh. So now we're adding some more. So Malko shel zeh lemala me'ifrchei denafshei. This king, it's great. He's higher up than his official, right? He's the king. Malko shel zeh lemala me'ifrchei denafshei. And the other king, he's lower than the first king, but he's higher up than his governor, than his officer. Okay, so that would be good for our case also. The Harris is higher up than its derivative, and Se'es is higher than its derivative. Fine. Rav Ada Abba, he gave another parable. Kigon, okay, a whole list of officers now. Malka, Kafta, Rofila, Varesh Galusa. So 4 levels of officers. A king, I don't know, governors and generals, and yeah. So says the Gemara. 1 second. If you're going in that order, it sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Rabbi Akiva. That's not our Mishnah. That's Rabbi Akiva. It's not that. That's not our Mishnah. Where I said, you're right. Amend it. Ella kigon malka verofila. What it means is a king and his rofila. Yeah, his general, the ilkafta, and then the other official, Reish Galusa, and the one under him. Oh, so that would be similar to our Mishnah, that you have the two higher up ranking officers, but the king has his subordinate, and the general has his subordinate. Yeah, yeah. So no, I was thinking of the government, but my father works. So they have a manager. Every manager has a deputy manager. Every office is deputy manager. But I know that would be exact to this, because the higher up you are, I think your deputy is higher than somebody else, because he'll take over for you if you're, yeah. Okay. Third parable. Rav Amar Kagon, Shvur Malka v'Kesar. Talking about two different kings, the Shvur Malka and the Caesar. Okay, so there were two. The Shvur Malka was the king of Persia, and the Caesar was the king of Rome. Each one of them has an officer. So Rav is, sorry, not a third parable. Rav is just specifying for you these two kings we just mentioned. Rav says, for example, the Persian king and the Roman king. Well, Amrlev Paparle the Rava, which one's greater? Which one's greater? The Persian king or the Roman king? So Amrle, so Rava, who got this question from Rav Papa, he said, "B'churasha ka'achile." Do you eat in a forest? Meaning you living in the woods? You know who's greater? Why are you asking? Puk chazi, go outside into the world, get a little involved, check the news, and go look at how do you determine which king is greater. It's interesting. I would have said, I don't know. I guess this really is that, right? The one who probably has more land, who's conquered more. Puk chazi tiva deman sagi be'alma. Which one's currency circulates the world? Now it's interesting that Rashi points out that Rav Papa asked it because Rava put the Shvur Malka first. When Rava said the two kings, he put the Persian king first and then the Roman king. So that's why he asked them. Now Rava was scared because Rava was under the rulership of the Persian king. So that's why he had to put him first. He was nervous to say something that would undermine that. So, but anyways, he tells them, go outside and see which currency is the most circulated. I guess nowadays you probably say the dollar, right? I would assume every country, every country would reckon. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they accept dollars and everything? No. You have
A lot of countries.
A lot of countries.
Yeah.
No, but usually you have to exchange into their currency, right?
Yeah, but some countries you can.
Where England, you can give dollars. France,
Yeah,
Spain, you can give dollars, right? That's what I was at.
I've only gone a few places.
I never paid in dollars. I was always transferred to shekels. Okay. But even that, I guess that's the point of it. They'll even accept the dollar.
Yeah.
Right, and give you, okay. So, the chsiv, as it says in Daniel, it says there in Daniel, it says, V'tochal kol ara, v'todashna v'titkana. So, what's the translation of this pasuk? Oh, so who's that referring to? Someone's going to eat the whole world, devour the whole world and tread upon it. Rabbi Yochanan zu Romi, that's Rome. Romi chayeves, Romi the evil one, the wicked one. Shetiva yatza b'cholon kulo. Its coin is going to circulate the whole world. They're the conquerors. Okay. Ravina Amar Kigon Galima de Amar Vishak. So this is the third parable that Ravina says. You have the new wool and you have the worn out wool. So Glima de Amar, so you have the wool that's new, like a garment of wool that's new. Vishake Sadina the Kitna Vishake. So you have a Glina de Amar Vishake. You have one kind of wool that's new and then wool that's used. And Sadina the Kitna Vishake. And you have I think cotton, no? Is like a sheet of cotton, right? No.
Linen garment.
And then what?
Gotta jump ahead. A new white linen garment and a worn out linen garment.
And then, so you have a wool garment and a linen garment, right? A wool garment, glima da'amar is the wool, and one that's worn out. That's like its primary category and the derivative. And sadina the kitna v'shake, and you have a linen garment that's new and a linen one that's worn out. That's also a good parable for our two primary categories and two subcategories of tzaras. Okay, fine. Done with leprosy. Don't speak Lashon Hara. Be a good Jew. Let's continue. Yeah. So. Yeah. So okay. So our Mishnah said at the very beginning told us that there's this korban ola v'yored, a special korban you bring when you knew that something was wrong in the beginning of the day. You had a lapse. You totally blanked on it, and then you remembered. Oh my gosh, I ate something and I was in a state of holiness. I should never have done that. So you bring a korban ola v'yored. So now, the two examples in our Mishnah was if you're impure and you eat something which is holy, or you walk into the base of Mikdash and you remember, and then so either you are impure and you walk into the base of Mikdash, or you walk into the base of Mikdash, you knew you were impure, but you walked into the base of Mikdash without realizing that you're in the base of Mikdash. You're like, oh my gosh, and you run out. So those are two examples where if you forgot that either you're impure or you forgot that that area is officially a holy area, and you walked in while you forgot, and then you walked out and remembered, you bring this korban. Now, this korban ola v'yori that you bring for having a lapse, it sounds like the only cases we're saying it's referring to is regarding holy foods you eat in a state of impurity, or walking into the temple in a state of impurity. How?
For eating, does this have to be like a Kohen or Levite?
Funny, I was thinking that.
It doesn't say whether it couldn't be just an Israelite.
Right. Yeah. The only thought I had was that when it becomes impure, maybe they could eat it, but yeah, they can't eat it in a state of impurity. Oh, you're right. I think so too. The problem was like no one said that. That's what bothered me. I have to look it up. I was thinking to look that up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the same question as you on the first day, and I forgot to look it up. Yeah. Okay, so simply understood is for sure going to be a Kohen. Oh, we're going to bring Psukim for it. Oh, we're going to see.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming from the Psukim it'll be... Okay, let's see. It's coming up soon, the sources. Maybe the source will help us.
Okay.
So, how do I know that we're only talking about these two categories of impurity, eating something holy or walking to the base of Mikdash? Vidinhu, it's logical. Why? Ho v'hizir v'anash ala tuma. V'chayiv korban ala tuma. So, the Torah warns us and punishes us for tuma, for all these cases of tuma. So, we're warned that we can't eat it when we're in a state of impurity, and we get punished for it. V'chayiv korban ala tuma. So makish hizir v'anash ala tuma, lo hizir v'anash ela al tumas mikdash v'kadashim. In the world of impurity, we have warnings and punishments of doing things that are impure. We only find them by eating something or think about walking into the base of Mikdash. So too, when it's come to be liable, this korban for your forgetfulness, that's also only going to be on things that are impure, such as eating something or walking to the base of Mikdash. After shechayiv korban al tuma lo chayiv ela al tuma kodesh al tumas Mikdash v'kadashim. One second. Yeah, I think you're right. It's got to be a Kohen. A Kohen can't eat it when he's impure. It'd be a novelty to say it's referring to a regular person. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. So we found other places. Rashi brings all the sources for them that you shouldn't eat. You shouldn't eat when you're impure, and you shouldn't base on Mikdash when you're impure. Don't defile my temple. So all these cases are always talking about eating something and walking to the base of Mikdash. So to our korban that you bring for this lapse that you had, that's also going to be in these two categories. Says the Gemara, hold on. The ema truma, so you can't eat truma either in a state of impurity. Shehizir v'anash. The Torah warns you, and you get punished for it, that you can't eat truma. It says bekachim lo yochal, and truma is included in that. So, and yet we don't find that that's talked about in our Mishnah. So, says the Gemara, you're right. Lo eshchan avon misa d'chayv al korban. We don't find, meaning we only find that by truma it says that you'll be liable for death. We don't find that for death you're liable to bring a korban. We only find for kares you're liable to bring a korban, except for maybe one or two exceptions. But you only bring a korban for a shogeg, for doing something inadvertently. If you would do it advertently, you would get kares. Since truma you don't get kares for, therefore it's excluded from this category of sacrifices also. Says the Gemara, but hold on. Maybe this idea, ema hani mili korban kavua, but that's maybe by a regular case of shogeg. Regular case of shogeg is not where you forgot. It's where you didn't know that on Shabbos you were not a cook, so you went and you cooked on you cooked on Shabbos, or other inadvertent acts. But this kind of where you had a lapse, hani mili korban kavua ola v'yored. This category of korban ola v'yored, maybe you should bring it. Nasi midi dehave ashmias kol ve'abitus v'sayim. You bring this korban for other things such as swearing. We'll see shvos ha'edos, swearing when different oaths you make that if you don't keep those oaths, you also bring a korban ola v'yored, even though there's no punishment of kares. So you do find that this kind of sacrifice, korban ola v'yored, is brought even for things that aren't kares related. So if that's true, let it be brought for eating truma in a state of impurity also. Same thing, you forgot you were impure, you went and you ate truma, then you remembered you're impure. You should be able to bring a korban ola v'yored. Amar kra, the Torah says, ba lemeute truma. Only through doing this are you going to have to bring the korban. However, it's coming to exclude. What's coming to exclude? But only this and not something else. What's not something else? Truma. Says well, not something else could exclude a number of things. How do you know to say it's only excluding truma? Maybe ema ba lemeute mikdash. Maybe it's coming to exclude the case where you walk into the base of Mikdash and then realize, oh my gosh, I'm impure and I'm in the base of Mikdash. Get out of there. Maybe it's coming to exclude that case. The lo sagile b'korban ola v'yored ad maisi korban kavua. Maybe if you found yourself in a state of impurity in the temple, it's not going to help you a korban ola v'yored. You have to bring the other kind of korban. You have to bring a real shogeg korban. Oh, so now here's the question: how do you know that our parsha includes even somebody who walks into the temple in a state of impurity? He forgets he's impure, or he forgets that this is the temple, and he remembers, and he gets out, and so then he has to bring a korban, ola v'yored, this special kind of korban. We're going to now try to find on a journey to figure out what's the source that is liable for this korban. So kari rava aleha de Rebbe. So rava, because remember, until you find a source, maybe it's excluded from the word ba. Ba is coming to exclude truma. Says the Gemara, maybe it's coming to exclude when you went to the temple impure. Says the Gemara, no, that I know from somewhere. Well, where do you know it from? So, Kari Rava aleha de Rebbe. Rava referred to Rebbe as somebody who is dole mayim. He brings up water, mi boros amukim, from very deep waters. Meaning, Rebbe was able to find exposition that right, mayim always refers to Torah, ein mayim ela Torah. Right, the Gemara says it's always referred to as water, is always referred to Torah, because water is that which brings sustenance to the world in a physical way. Torah brings sustenance to the world in a spiritual way. So he's one who brought the water up from the depths. So meaning he delved into the Torah and he found where we're going to know that if you are in a state of impurity and you walk into the base of Mikdash and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the base of Mikdash, so that you're going to bring this kind of korban. So let's see. Titania, Rebbe Omer. It says, so Ekra Ani, Chaya, Behema Lama Nemra. So this is by the verse of, by a korban ola v'yored, in the very beginning of Vayikra, in the 5th chapter. It talks about somebody who's either becomes impure through the carcass of a chaya, which is a wild animal, or through the carcass of a behema tmeya, of a domesticated non-kosher animal. So the question is, why does it say the carcass of a wild achaya and a behema? A behema, from another place we learn, is included in chaya. Chaya is a general term. Sometimes chaya means wild and behema means domestic animals. Mm-hmm. But sometimes chaya is a general way to refer to animals, and the word behema is included in that. So if that's true, so then why did you have to mention both categories over here? Chaya, so behema lama nemra. Why did you mention the word behema? Says the Gemara, you're right. I need it for Xer Shava to expound another halacha. Nemar kan behema tmeya. It says over here a behema tmeya, behema which is not kosher, regarding touching it if it's a carcass and becoming impure. The nemar lahalan, it says later on by someone who's touching things that are impure. The creepy crawlies or other things. So if he goes and eats afterwards, if you go and you touch something which is impure, for example, you eat something which is you touch a dead person or a carcass or a creepy crawly, and then you go and you eat from the holy offerings, then you'll get kares. A person will get kares. So it says behema over here, it says behema over there. So nemar kan behema, nemar lahalan behema tmeya. Here it says non-kosher animal. There it says non-kosher animal. Mala Holland, just like over there, it's tumas kodesh. It's referring to explicitly somebody who's eating holy food. So they're talking about the peace offering, holy food. Afkan tumas kodesh. So too here, when it comes to the korban olav yored, it's also going to refer to somebody who is eating holy food. Now the problem is that the problem is like this. Oh no, sorry, no problems yet. Ashkelon tumas kodesh. Okay, good. So you learned out that somebody who's in a state of impurity and then forgets and then remembers is going to bring a korban olav yored. We'll bring this kind of korban. How do you know it? Agzera shava from behema tmeya. Fine. Eshkechan tumas kodesh, tumas mikdash minalan. But how do I know of the person who's impure and in the temple? For that guy, you also bring a korban olav yored. Amakra, the verse says, bechol kodesh lo siga. It says a person should not touch. This is by a lady who gave birth, who's now impure, so she shouldn't touch things that are holy, and she shouldn't walk into the Beis HaMikdash. So you see over there, the Torah puts the two together. Touching something when you're in a state of impurity, going to the Beis HaMikdash when you're in a state of impurity. Iskish Mikdash LeKodesh. We're comparing the two together, just like, so once they're compared over there, bring it back to us now, whatever's going to apply by eating the holy food. So one of the applications is you bring a korban olav yored. So too, walking into the Beis HaMikdash in a state of impurity will also get you the same thing. You have to bring a korban olav yored. Okay, so it was a two-step process. One was Gzeira Shava behema tmeya. That taught me that for eating something holy, if I'm impure, I bring a korban olav yored. Then we have another place in the Torah that juxtaposes the two together to teach you that they're going to have the same laws. So for our case, that means that you're also going to bring a korban olav yored if you would walk into the Beis HaMikdash in a state of impurity without knowing and then remembering. Okay. If this is true, so maybe what's with truma? Truma nami, da'amar mar, b'chol kodesh lo siga. Truma, when it says of all the holy food you shouldn't touch, b'chol kodesh, when the lady gave birth, she's impure, she shouldn't touch anything which is holy. What's anything? Anything, the word kol always comes to include. So it includes even truma. So you see, truma is included. Once it's included over there, you should include it by us also. So says the Gemara, what do you mean? That we said earlier. Ha miye rachmana ba. The Torah, you're right, it really should be included. And that's why if there's a special exclusion saying ba. Only with eating or going into the Beis HaMikdash do you bring a korban olav yored, but with eating the truma, it's going to be excluded. Says the Gemara, why do you exclude it? Ema bala me'ute mikdash. They're both learned out from the chol kodesh includes truma. The juxtaposition includes tumas mikdash. Over there, by a lady touching it who's impure. So how come when it comes to bringing a korban, you've included the Beis HaMikdash and excluded truma? Maybe do the opposite. Include truma and exclude the Beis HaMikdash. Says the Gemara, Mistabra Mikdash lo matinan shekain bekaris kamosa. We found by the Beis HaMikdash the obligations of kares. They exist in certain cases when you walk in. If you know that you're impure, that you'll be liable for kares. We don't find kares by truma, and therefore it was more similar. So it gets we're going to add it in. Yeah. Okay. Says the Adarabba, truma lo matinan shekain achila kamosa. You're comparing things to eating something holy. Well, you're right. The Beis HaMikdash has kares, like eating holy things does. True. But truma is eating. Beis HaMikdash is walking into a location. So maybe truma is actually similar to it. So because it has to do with eating also. So really you should include truma and exclude the walking into the Beis HaMikdash. So now, okay, let's see if we have time. Okay, let's try. What do you say, Jules? We have time.
Go for it.
Okay. Ela marava shalosh krisos b'shlamim. it says kares 3 times by shlomim, by eating things, eating holy things. It says kares 3 times. Regarding the korban shlomim, it says krisos 3 times. So obviously one's in this week's parsha. So now lama. So lama achas leklal. So one tells you anybody who eats from holy things, that's in this week's parsha. That's one. The achas leprat. One is specified by eating the shlomim. The achas letuma ksuva b'torah stam. And there it's regarding something impure, but doesn't tell you what it is. It mentions kares, but we don't know what's the extra kares teaching you. It's not by so what is it? Ve'eni yodea mahi. I don't know what it is. So have omer tumas kodesh. So it's stated over there by eating something which is holy. Now we don't need it for that because we know that already from somewhere else. So im eino inyan letumas kodesh dinaf galei mid the Rebbe that we had from Rebbe told us that from Rebbe already told us that eating something holy, you're going to get punished for it. So teneu inyan letumas mikdash. So put it by the category of defiling the Beis Hamikdash, walking in a state of impurity without realizing. So since we already used it up for, we don't need it for Tumas Kodesh, so we're going to use it for Tumas Mikdash. We'll continue from here.
Oh,
Okay.
I just had this funny thought.